electronic government, they also become a publisher. A company that has decided to put major parts of its commercial effort on online sales, not only can put together a sales platform on the internet, but also has to inform its potential customers and buyers of what it actually is offering. And also they become publishers. And you see a whole series of former structural sources for the media now becoming publishers themselves. Again, that needs to be serviced, and many traditional media are also taking that role of creating a platform for those platforms, and in fact will do that in a forms of strategic alliances between former sources and present publishers, professional publishers. Now, when you move from the more general description of publishing roles to the level of actually used platforms for publishing, you see again a similar paradox. On the one hand, an element of downsizing, on the other hand, an element of upscaling. Now, when we first look at the downsizing side, that's familiar to you. You have heard much about it in the past 2 days. In any case, in all the professional platforms, one is talking about the transition from broadsheet to tabloid formats. At virtually all conferences, this is a major issue. And in fact, it's downsizing the publishing format from the traditional home reading model, when you could nicely sit back in your reading chair. We used to have reading chairs in former days, and you could open up your broadsheets and you had a look at what the world as it was offered to you. Now, that has been adapted to changing lifestyles in the meantime, and that's one of the main reasons why tabloid is becoming so important. It allows us not only to quietly read back home, but also to read while on the move. So the whole shift to tabloid is basically inspired by the necessity to service the reading opportunities we have while being mobile. And then this process will not stop here. This is the talk of the day. Today, many newspapers certainly are in the process of changing from broadsheet to tabloid, but in our view, that process will continue, and there will be a further shrinking, downsizing element in the years to come, which is the move from tabloid to magazine format. There are, you could say, at this present already some examples of publications which even have left the tabloid format and have decided to go even one step down in size and are aiming at magazine format. Basically, you could say the format of an A4 sheet or slightly bigger. And one example was presented also in the Cape Town conference John was already referring to. It was a presentation given by the editor-in-chief of an Austrian newspaper, a newly created newspaper, Österreich, which has decided to solely publish on that magazine format already as a matter of principle. And they operate both at the national and the regional level, but also have a series of magazine sections that are appearing 2 or 3 times a week, and that all together is what you get when you subscribe to the Österreich portfolio. All done at the magazine format already. It becomes the reading format of the future in our view. It again will change the whole process of editorial organization, of the way information has to be layouted, and it's one of this, in our view, fascinating things to follow in the years to come. Now, if on the one hand, when you talk about the classical paper product, you see that process of shrinking again, of downsizing, when you put the E in front of the publishing word, you talk about electronic publishing, everything is much to the contrary. Then we basically talk about upscaling. Things are getting bigger and bigger. If you look now at media services which are offered electronically, we know that there are quite a number of services already issued by both broadcasting companies and paper companies to use the mobile platform, and they often think in terms of mobile about cell phone services. That's already an existing thing. It's ongoing. It's part of the multimedia package as it exists right now, and is basically in service for a majority of the media, certainly print media, as of to date. Now, there's one upscaling element in the process of becoming important. That's the upscaling from the cell phone to the PDA, the personal digital assistant, which has certainly a bigger screen, also added functionality, and where, in fact, you can give a much richer information environment than you can on the tiny screen of your cell phone. Presently, there aren't many services in place, but a number of field trials are ongoing, and this is the thing that you can expect to become also state-of-the-art in 1 or 2 years from now. Enhanced services means, for instance, that you can use much more visual input than you can on the tiny screen for the cell phone. You can actually use pictures, color pictures, you can put on some geographical information, maps, and also become feasible when you use the PDA format. It's bigger, still. We think, and also many people are try to think ahead for the industry, think still too small. So another upscaling element in the area of e-publishing is the move from PDA to e-reader format. Now, there aren't that many concrete examples already, but it certainly is in the process of being developed. This is much more a new technology which is in the laboratory stage right now. In a couple of areas, things are tested out. There are a few manufacturers who are bringing these readers to the market. Sony is one for the American market. They have an e-reader which is now sold commercially. A Dutch company, one of the subsidiaries of the Philips company, also has produced an electronic reader. And then the upscaling takes place from the PDA format that you know and you're familiar with to the A5 size. That was basically half A4. That's already a substantial increase, which also will function as a trend breach. That means that now for the first time around, layout becomes an important element for the electronic publishing activities. That had little use for the cell phone, limited use for the PDA size, but once you talk about A5, it becomes important. You actually can edit a page, you can include a variety of elements on what can be seen as a front page, and that gives now new opportunities to many of the media to see what they actually can do in this field once these devices become standard and cheap enough to distribute at a massive scale. There are some ready, and that's really not so much being tested out in the public libraries, but more in the company libraries. There are some examples already of A4 flexible screens, which are very difficult to obtain at this moment. Probably we'll have to wait 2 or 3 years before they actually will come to market and are going to change the way we can read electronically. And by that time, and then as I said, that certainly will be 3 to 5 years as of now, then you reach an interesting meeting point between the downsized paper, so in which the print product has been downsized to the magazine format, and the electronic publication has grown, has been blown up also to something which is equivalent to the print downsized product. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't matter that much then you can do your layout, your production scheme for both the print and the electronic versions in virtually the same way. They have the same format, they will obey to the same design principles, and then the combination between